Hey guys, today I want to kind of rant at you about something that bothered me a couple of days ago. I don't have a plan for this video, no script or anything. I just sat in my living room with my iPhone running. But yeah, there's one thing that I wanted to address, something that I've wanted to talk about on this channel for quite some time now. And let me just explain. So a couple of days ago, I posted one of those things on my Instagram story where it has that little box and it says, ask me a question, and people send in their questions and I answer them in the stories, okay? So I got a bunch of the typical, what string gauge do you use? Have you tried this guitar? What picks do you use? What magnets are in your pickups? All things that I don't really think about or care about, to be honest. But the question that bothered me the most was someone asked me, how many hours a day should I practice to become professional? Okay, and I get this type of question often, and if the person who asked that question is watching this, I'm not trying to single you out or anything. This is it's as I said, it's the type of question that I get probably the most often from people who watch me, and I'm sure the same goes for just about every other online guitar instructor, professional guitar player out there with an online profile, right? So the question of how long is it going to take for me to get good at guitar, master guitar, and it's an impossible question to answer, and because it's impossible to answer, it's a pointless question to ask. Let's start with the professional part of that. How many hours do I practice each day to become professional? Well, what is professional? A professional guitar player can mean many things. It could be someone who plays in a full-time cover band doing wedding gigs, bar gigs. It could be someone who teaches as their full-time profession. Maybe they teach kids beginner guitar, right? And they get paid for that, so it's their profession, right? It could be someone who plays with, Lady Gaga and tours stadiums around the world, right? That's a professional guitar player for sure. It could be someone who does things like me, has an online educational platform, selling courses, but also plays gigs, So I think the term professional means so many things. It can mean so many things that it's almost meaningless, if that makes any sense at all. So I think what people are really asking when they ask that type of question is, how long does it take to become advanced? How long does it take to master the guitar? So again, I don't have a plan for this video. I'm just gonna rattle some ideas off the top of my head. I guess I'll start by saying that the more that you ask yourself this question, or a teacher this question, how long is it gonna take to achieve this completely undefinable future outcome? The more you do that, the more miserable you are making the process of learning and studying this instrument, right? Because if you are constantly asking that question, then to me that means that you are never going to be satisfied with your progress, right? Because I've been playing guitar for 20 years now, and I do want to talk about the length of time that you've been playing for as well. That's another point I want to address. But I've been playing guitar for 20 years now, and although I've certainly reached a stage where I'm I'm playing things that are cool to me. Like I can do things on the guitar that I could have only dreamt about, or that seemed like so far out of reach when I was a beginner or an intermediate. Although I have reached that stage, you know, I've also come to realize that there is no end point. There is no end outcome to this. It's like any skill, it's an endless pursuit. So if it's an endless pursuit, if there's no finish line, if there's no finish line, then someone commented this on that Instagram post. They said that, you know, practice is not a countdown. You know, if that is the case, which it is, then what you need to do is, instead of ask that question, ask yourself, do I actually enjoy playing guitar? Do I enjoy the daily practice, the daily learning, studying? Because if the answer is no, then put your guitars on eBay. Honestly, like, if you can't enjoy like incremental steps in progress, and you're always just comparing, you know, the level you're at now to some, as I said before, undefinable end outcome, then you're never going to be happy playing guitar or learning any skill for that matter. Now, I did something new this year that actually made me feel like a little bit of a hypocrite for saying everything that I just said, okay? So since my mid-20s, I'd always said to myself that I really wanted to train a martial art. And I kind of made it like a goal for myself to start when I turned 30. I turned 30 next month. And in February of this year, I decided to just sign up for a trial class at a Muay Thai gym here in Nashville. So I went for that trial class, I joined the gym immediately after, and now I've been training for like 7 months. What has this got to do with what I've been talking about so far? Well, you know, despite me saying everything I just said about, you know, you should stop asking the question of how long is it going to take me to achieve XYZ outcome. In my first few weeks of training at this gym, you know, I had no idea what I was doing. Like, no idea at all. Never trained a martial art before in my life. I mean, at least not consistently. And so there I was, you know, week 1, 2, 3, 4, going on YouTube, watching videos like how to land the perfect roundhouse kick in 30 days, right? So that made me feel like a hypocrite, because I was like, because I'm always saying, like, just take the idea of how long it's going to take, like, out of your mind. Just forget about it. But then there I am, I'm looking up all these like shortcut videos online. So that was quite an amusing moment of self-awareness for me. And I think it's been beneficial for me because, as a guitar teacher, because it's actually reminded me what it feels like to be a beginner at something again. It's reminded me what the beginner mindset is actually like. Yes, it's got nothing to do with music, but in many ways it kind of does. It's everything. Okay, it's not music specific, but it's to do with learning a skill, right? You want it all to happen fast. You know, you want immediate gratification. But despite that, you know, I've never asked a coach, like, how long is it going to take me to, you know, spar at a decent level, or fight, or compete, land the perfect kick, blah, blah, blah. I don't ask those questions because I've already put in 20 years to mastering another skill set, so I understand that the answer will only ever be as long as it takes, right? That's the only acceptable answer to the question of how long is it going to take. As long as it takes, okay? And then once you reach that point, you keep going and you're on to the next goal. Yeah, I wanted to also address the topic of, you know, years spent playing the guitar. You know, I said at the start of the video that I've been playing guitar for 20 years. And that's another thing I get asked quite often. If I post something on Instagram, someone's like, how long have you been playing for? And, you know, I say 20 years, but what does that actually mean? Because I know plenty of people that picked up guitar 40 years ago, but they're still in that sort of beginner or like experienced beginner level or experienced intermediate level, and they've been stuck for a while. So it's really not about the years spent playing the instrument. Like I wouldn't, you know, if someone asked me how long have you been playing guitar for, and I said 20 years, I don't think there's anything to really take from that. Because it's not just about like the years since you picked up the instrument. It's about what you've done in those 20 years or 5 years or 10 years. Like, what is your practice looks like? If you play guitar, if you practice guitar for 30 minutes a day, what are you doing with those 30 minutes? Are you just playing the same things that you've been playing for the past 6 months or 2 years? If so, then that to me is not really practice, that's just noodling, right? Or are you spending 30 minutes to an hour a day learning something new and then trying to apply it and then failing repeatedly until you get it right? To me, that's like the best use of your practice time, right? It's like, it's learning something new, failing repeatedly the first few times that you try to actually apply it, but still going, you know, keeping that going until the point where it becomes second nature and you don't actually have to think about doing it. It just comes out and you're playing naturally. I guess that's all the points I wanted to really address. This was a really like off the cuff video, as you can tell. I'm not like in my studio room with like the fancy cameras and lighting and stuff. I didn't have a script for this, but I just wanted to rattle some ideas off the top of my head and just put it out there to you guys that if you're asking me or any other teacher, like, how long is it going to take? You're asking the wrong question for the wrong reason, right? Stop imagining some undefinable future outcome where you'll finally feel like you've cracked the code on guitar playing, and just enjoy the day-to-day process of incremental progress, right? Just if you can't enjoy that, if you can't let yourself enjoy that, then there's no point in doing this, right? If it's not fun, give up. You know, as I said before, put your guitars on eBay. Yeah. And again, the term professional, it means so many different things that it's basically meaningless. Make sure that the hours you are putting into the guitar are focused hours where you're learning, you're studying, you're practicing application, not just randomly noodling. That's basically it. I should plug my new course, which is coming out soon. I believe we're putting this out on the 6th of October. It's called 80/20 Lead Guitar Mastery. We already opened the course up to a bunch of students a couple of months ago for the pre-sale. And I'm gearing up to launch the full curriculum in its entirety. Currently it's 50% done and it's like 9 hours of content already. So could end up being like an 18+ hour long course, and it's basically my most in-depth guide to improvisation for the intermediate lead guitars that I've ever made before. The angle I took with this course was that you don't need to learn all 7 modes of the major scale. There's only 4 that actually matter if you're interested in playing rock, country, blues, and pop like I am. You're probably never going to have to play a solo with Lydian, Locrian, or Phrygian, Ionian, Aeolian, Dorian, Mixolydian. That's really all you need. Of course, pentatonic scales are inside them as well, and arpeggios and triads and all that stuff. But anyway, you'll hear more about this course in the coming weeks as I gear up to launch the full thing soon. In the meantime, if you want to get on my mailing list and be the first to hear about the launch discount when it goes live in October, you can sign up to my mailing list by clicking the link below. When you do that, you will get access to a free 2-hour-long blues rock soloing masterclass. This was something that I used to sell years ago, and I archived the content, and I recently rediscovered it on an old hard drive, and I think the content still holds up pretty good. So yeah, if you want to get a free 2-hour masterclass and be one of the first people to hear about the launch sale for 80/20 and Lead Guitar Mastery, just click the link below. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Oh, and let me know if you enjoyed this style of like just off the cuff ranting video on my iPhone. It's easy for me to make, so if you like it, then I can certainly do more. All right, have a good day.